Right. I'm sticking with Sibongile. She sent this in as well. Study the advertisements. Now, should you expect more than one advert? They can give you more than one advert. Looking back over the foul papers, it tends to be one advert, and it's an advert for a product. Home language, you can get a variety of things. You can get 1 or 2 adverts. This one's got 3. And it could be a product or an organization that promotes ideas, not products. So it could be an organization like they gave Greenpeace a few years ago. It could be organizations for things like autism or supporting children, or I found one for not wasting water in the Cape. So it could be for an organization promoting that kind of thing. Or there's brand awareness, and that's one that students tend to forget. Let me just, I think Mbali very kindly, she knows I like a blank slide. Brand awareness. This is where the advert isn't really the product, but the brand want to associate themselves with something, an idea in the advert. Let me give you an example. A few years ago, they showed somebody with a leg, and the other leg has been replaced with a prosthetic leg, a false leg. And the whole message, the whole idea was drive safely. Drive safely, don't be reckless, that kind of thing. Now, who paid for this? It was a motor manufacturer, but they weren't actually advertising their car. A lot of students said the point of the advert is that if you drive this car, you won't be in an accident. No, actually, no, they're not saying that. They are saying, we are a responsible brand. We care about people's safety. So that when you're looking at cars, you think, oh, I'll go for that one. I'll buy that one because they're a caring brand. Do you see what I mean by brand awareness? So they are linking their brand to a particular idea to show that they are socially aware, that they are concerned, they're not just out there for the money. That's the kind of thing. Okay, right. So, foul, I don't think expect more than one. Home language, you can get anything. So look what we've got. You can see post at the bottom of each one. You can see writing, okay, and the people. Right, so it says, it's a bit small, I hope you can read it. Australia Post portrayed the letter as the most effective way of keeping in touch with these print advertisements. Okay, so using these print advertisements, they are pushing the idea of letters are still an effective way of keeping in touch. The tagline, if you really want to touch someone, send them a letter. Originally, the advertisement was created to appear in a Defence Force magazine to highlight the role that Australia Post plays in keeping defence personnel in contact with loved ones. However, it was so well received that Australia Post decided to run it in other magazines in the lead up to Valentine's Day. It proved so popular in showcasing print as an advertising medium that one publication even reran the ad for free. Yet more positive feedback emerged from these additional insertions, and a second concept was developed to coincide with Mother's Day. Right, so this is the context. Always look at, what have I taught you in your intensive reading? Year. So we're looking at 2007, where the post office was trying to push letters as opposed to digital communication. Right, and especially around Mother's Day. Okay, with that background, we've got A how, no, I didn't want that, I wanted red. A how, an explain how, a comment on, and a critically discuss. Okay? How is the tagline intended to promote? So I would say tagline and promote. So you start with, well, what is the product? The product, physical letters that you physically put a stamp on and send through the mail. So how is the tagline intended to promote that product? Once again, FAL students, if you say the advert is promoting written letters, expect 1 mark out of the 2. And then the second mark goes for, well, how does it do it? It suggests that touch, real communication, happens if you write something. There's the second mark. Home language students, I wouldn't expect this mark. I would do the tagline focuses on the idea of touch. Please notice I use inverted commas when I quote. To emphasize what is the point? To emphasize that real communication happens through written letters. I need another mark. So say something like, it appeals to readers because of the appeal to the sense of touch with its, want to go down, with its very physical idea of love being shown. Remember, this is the Mother's Day. Just look at it again. All right. So you need a second point, home language. Right, now, explain how what? Font. Reinforces the idea of sending a letter. Okay, let's look at the font. Right, FAL students. Describe the font, expect a mark. Well, what does it look like? It looks like handwriting. So you get 1 mark for that if you're FAL. And how does it promote the idea? Because it provides a visual reinforcement of letter writing. I think for FAL, that's all you will need. What am I saying? Is that we are seeing somebody's handwritten letter, and so it's emphasizing that we, as the viewer, must write letters and send them through the mail. FAL, 2 marks. Home language, you might get 2 for that, but I think you're always looking for, what if I don't get a mark for the handwriting? Then say something again that it makes it very personal, very real. It's showing us what it is that they want us to do and persuading us that this method, this technique, this means of communication will be meaningful to the person receiving it. Okay. Right. Comment on the effectiveness. Now, once again, my grade 11s were saying today, they really don't know what to do. So let's just go over again. What do you do when you're asked, what is the effect? Is something effective? Or what is the effectiveness? Now, sometimes the question helps you. So it says, what is the effectiveness in creating a mood? How does this affect the emotions of the audience? Sometimes the examiner gives you a focus, but sometimes the examiner doesn't. When you've got a focus, then effectiveness becomes easy. When you haven't got a focus, you've got to make the focus. So say to yourself, what are the key features of texts? So we've got mood, emotions, audience, theme, message, tone, Those are key features. So let's go back to the question. Was there any help? No. So you say, all right, when I'm looking at effectiveness, what do I have to look at? Well, what was it intended to do? Right, so say to yourself, let's say you've got a pimple, and I say, try this liquid. Then I say, was it effective? What was the liquid intended to do? It was to ease the pain, bring the inflammation down, remove the pimple. So what was its purpose? What was it there for, right? And then you say, well, did it do what it was meant to do? All right, so can I write that? Did it do what it was meant to? That's what you're asking yourself. And I get asked this from all students for paper 1 and paper 2. So I'm probably going to go over it again before paper 2 if I'm asked to. Okay, go back to the question. The effectiveness of the visual image in advert 3. So let's go to advert 3. There it is. The visual image, is it effective? You need to say effective in doing what? All right, what is it suggesting? So is it meant to go, all right, I think with the viewer, am I meant to go, oh, cute? In which case it's effective if I go, oh, cute. So do you see, to answer this question, you start by saying, if you are a foul student, I'd actually say, this is what I thought it was intended to do. Home language, I don't think you should be quite that crude. But if necessary, do that. But better way of answering would be to say, the advertisement moves the reader in whatever way it does. So look at this advert. The advertisement warms the reader by stressing the loving relationship between parent and child. Right? What else do I have to do? Go back to the question. Comment on. So look at the hands. The hands are underneath the child. So you'd say, the supportive hands emphasize the loving concern of the adult, and the child's hands resting gently on the shoulders indicates how comfortable and secure she feels in that embrace. All right, so what am I saying? The advert's intended to make me want to write a letter to somebody so that a child, for example, can feel warm and supported and cared about. And that visual makes me think, wow, if I wrote a letter, the child in my life would feel cared about, supported, held, comforted. Okay, so that's what you're looking at when you're looking at effectiveness. Right, critically discuss. FAL students, you very seldom get that phrase, critically discuss. But you are asked to discuss, and the way that it's phrased for you, FAL students, is something like, look at the question. Do you think the print advertisements had an impact? Or would the print advertisements have had an impact on you? Explain. In other words, you get this kind of question. This is a home language question. FAL, you get the question, but phrased slightly differently. So, would you have gone off and written a letter if you had seen these adverts? Explain your answer. It's the same question in effect. Now, FAL, can we start with you? If you are asked, would these adverts have had an impact on you? Don't write, no, I never look at adverts. I watch them on my phone. That isn't engaging with the text. You have to say, would these adverts have had an impact on you? And I would recommend, before you do the no, start with the yes. Imagine that you are a person who has a vague idea about letter writing and actually quite likes it when somebody gives you a note as opposed to sending you a message on WhatsApp. You quite like getting a physical birthday card from somebody. So look again with that lens, that approach, rather than just saying, nah, I never look at adverts, and anyway, this had so much writing, I wouldn't have read it. Don't answer like that. You're being asked to engage critically. I know you're not given the word critical, but that's what they want you to do. Remember, critical thinking underpins education in this country. Right, so home language, let's look at it. Critically discuss. So let's start with just the discuss. Had an impact when developed to coincide with particular occasions. If AL students, I would name the occasions. I would say Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Defense Force, and I would expect at least one of the 3 marks for identifying the occasions. Home language, Right. Why the impact? Say something like, Valentine's Day, people do like to receive cards and chocolates and, well, cards. You know how expensive Valentine's cards are. So, of course, it's going to have an impact. You're going to have all these adverts suggesting that your real love, your romantic mwah, will be shown to your darling of your heart if you send a letter. And you know that, is it just girls who like cards? I think so. Sorry, my experience is with boys having to give to their girlfriend's now wife. So I'm much more on the boys' side, where it's very expensive, let me tell you, with the flowers and the gifts and the teddy bears and the what have you. So yes, girls seem to like cards. So maybe make that point. So home language students, when you got that critically, they're expecting you to know, what about Valentine's Day? What about the Defense Force? What about Mother's Day? What about other events? That's what you bring to your discussion. It's what some of my students call the bigger picture. The bigger picture is, what do I know about Valentine's Day? And look at the ideas that are produced in me. That's what I bring to my discussion, and then I root it all in this text. All right, Sibongile, I hope that's helped. I think, so why? Why? Because these occasions are associated with cards and with sending things in writing, and because of the idea of communication. And isn't it funny, looking at this now under COVID, haven't you missed hugging and getting close to people? And I look at this now and I think, this is a different world. This is 2007, where you could hug the granny and your beloved and your child and other children. Like a little boy came up to me last week, he's grade 1 or grade 2, and gave me a hug. And I said, social distancing. It felt terrible. He's so little. So sorry, Musa, but be careful. So think about this. We want to hug, we want to touch, we want to feel we're communicating. So it would have a powerful impact.